And so a real life example of this, like just from the data side, and this isn't unique to RJ Young, it's really any company that's experienced tremendous growth. But a lot of our data became siloed across multiple platforms internally. And I tasked my team to really take the time, and this has been, we're talking about a year plus of time, to create a single source of truth to within the data backend to create a prioritize and align campaign strategy that our sales teams can use. And so I think if you're investing in analytics and automation and clearer positioning, that's going to set you up for success.
Hello, and welcome to the CX Files podcast. Today's guest is Kamron Kunce. He's the Chief Marketing Officer at RJ Young, where he orchestrates the brand and customer experience strategy for this premier business technology solutions provider with a 70-year legacy. Having risen through the ranks from marketing director to the firm's inaugural CMO in 2025, he synthesized his background in the music industry and e-commerce to drive a world-class Net Promoter Score exceeding 90. His leadership is defined by the modern off philosophy, a strategic pivot that integrates IT services, automated workflows, and digital communication into the hardware distribution model. Kamron, thanks for joining.
Ben, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
My first question I always like to ask guests is just set the stage a little bit. Can you tell us about an early experience you had in your career that sort of got you excited about CX or was somehow a big surprise to you?
Sure. I think early on, starting out in marketing, you quickly realize that customer experience is a huge part of your daily job. And so for me personally, typically when you start out a new career, especially out of college, you end up wearing a lot of hats, your first real big boy job. And so for me, I think that was unique to really see how talking with our customer experience reps and the hurdles that they deal with on a daily basis and the issues that they were dealing with and how that translates into the marketing strategy is so very important. So I feel like I experienced that even just right out of college, and that's not something they really prepare you for until you experience it. So that's just helped me grow throughout the course of my career and it's really at every point I've gone to, every job that I've had, that has been a consistent theme through all of them.
Gotcha. Yeah, you've had some experience across different industries, and most recently, your tenure at RJ Young. There's been a major transition, as I understand it, a pivot, if you will. Yeah, what's that been like, and where did that kind of begin?
Yeah, so just to give your audience context of who RJ Young is and what we do. So we're the industry leader in print and technology solutions, specifically in the Southeast. And so we've been doing business for over 70 years, and we have just shy of 700 total employees, around 30 office locations across 9 states. And what you're referring to is our newly launched brand under the RJ Young umbrella called Velocity One. And so Velocity One is a really interesting story because when COVID-19 hit the world in 2020, things changed. RJ Young is a business-to-business technology provider with historically offered printers and copiers. And so when people weren't going into the office, we really had to look at how to stay relevant because no one really knew how long COVID would last. And we launched a whole new, this was before my time, but the leadership team at the time launched all these new technology solutions to see what would stick, what we were good at internally. And so now that we're 6 years beyond that, we have a really good understanding of what we're good at, what's profitable for the business. And so that is why the launch of Velocity One happened. It was from the success that we had through COVID, how we had to make that major pivot as a company. And now I'm excited to say that we've launched this new brand. And it's not something, Ben, that we're trying to hide. We want people to know that you're still going to get the level of service and expertise from Velocity One over the last 70 years. So it's just an umbrella. RJ Young is the umbrella over Velocity One. And so we're excited to scale it and grow it from here.
Gotcha. Was there something from the time that you started at RJ Young that you felt that they were doing really well in this regard, or some area that you were really excited to improve?
Yeah, so Velocity One, it's really a managed service provider. We're doing things like managed IT, automated expense management, cloud services, physical security, and compliance. So what we always did for the past 6 years specifically, we've been doing those things really well from an RJ Young perspective. But what we found out is like when we were talking to our clients, a common response would be, hey, you work on my printers and copiers. Why are you talking to me about managed services? And so we felt like this new brand Velocity One would help make that conversation easier, but still not lose the connection from RJ Young.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think one of the common kind of concerns or requirements in effective CX is having the right segmentation, the right kind of buckets for people to think about, not like internally for people to think about, okay, we're serving this group of customers with this kind of solution, but also for the customers to see the business as, okay, this aspect of the business is focusing on our specific needs as opposed to their overall portfolio. Can you talk to a little bit about how you think about this kind of segmentation question?
Yeah, I think, it's a legacy company, again, 70 years, RJ Young. So Velocity One, and we're doing it both from the RJ Young side, but also Velocity One starting fresh. I've been tasked with moving a legacy company closer to a tech company mindset because we found that customers really want both stability and innovation. So the legacy companies, you have to learn how to deliver both of those things. It's an advantage that RJ Young has trust over the last 70 years, but trust alone is not enough. We have to shift from reactive service to proactive strategy. And so a real life example of this, like just from the data side, and this isn't unique to RJ Young, it's really any company that's experienced tremendous growth. But a lot of our data became siloed across multiple platforms internally. And I tasked my team to really take the time, and this has been, we're talking about a year plus of time, to create a single source of truth to within the data backend to create a prioritize and align campaign strategy that our sales teams can use. And so I
Mhm.
think if you're investing in analytics and automation and clearer positioning, that's going to set you up for success. And again, we've been doing that within the back end of RJ Young and Velocity One. And specifically with Velocity One, it's signaling that forward momentum without abandoning the roots of RJ Young. And so it's been a lot of work, but it's been really good because we've been able to reframe innovation as a service to the customer and not do disruption just for the sake of doing that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there's a really interesting tension there. This word trust you've mentioned is the pivot. It's the key. And I think whether you're a super new young company or an old established company, it's pivotal. So I wonder if you could expand a little bit more on maybe how you think about, like, what are some specific cases where you emphasize one thing over another to balance that trust with the technology, with the legacy, with the opportunity?
Yeah. So journey mapping, it should change the way that you run your business, not just the way that you talk about it. And with us, like it ended up becoming a decision filter by mapping the full life cycle of our customers. And I mentioned before, it took a year plus to really take the time to understand what was going on the back end, but take that time to work cross departmentally to truly understand the entire journey. And most importantly, Ben, it's like you can't forget to ask the client as well. Do your due diligence on the back end as far as data and cross departmentally, but also don't forget to talk to your client because their direct feedback will really give you a good way to go about that. You've probably talked about this with the other guests, but like for us, the biggest surprise was really about all the internal friction points that we had that we discovered by just asking questions like, where's the customer get stuck? Talking to different departments and realizing that each department, some of them had different definitions around some key terms out regionally. And so sometimes the processes from a regional standpoint weren't necessarily aligned. And then who is taking ownership across these departments? So those are real life examples of some of the things that we uncovered when we were really looking at the journey map from a client's perspective, both back end and talking to the client. And all those things are really important, again, to build on that trust that we've had, but also set our clients and prospects up for success.
Absolutely makes sense to me. I think it's obvious to say that everything starts with the customer and we have to be customer centric and customer first. And these kind of words get thrown around, but they often get, the reality is it gets forgotten day to day and people go into their own world. They see things internally from the business point of view, inevitably. And it's so important to keep going back and asking the customer again, what do you think about this? What's your experience been like? What's the reality that you're seeing? Yeah, I love that. And I think it's just, you can't repeat it enough, right? You can't remind your team about this enough. And yeah, obviously you're going to get the insights there and learn what they actually care about, learn where the friction actually is.
It was funny too, Ben. We had so many people from different departments to be like, you guys are marketing, you're customer experience. What can, I'm not involved in that. And I always stop and say, no, whether in admin or HR or especially sales, a lot of the times you don't realize you actually are a touch point for marketing in a lot of different ways. And so you've got to learn how to adopt that mindset across the company. It can't just be a marketing and customer experience thing. You've got to do that cross departmentally. So it's always interesting for me to have conversations, and it helps us with keeping things in priority as well. So our big takeaway was if the project wasn't improving the customer journey, it gets moved down the list. And so that helps keep everyone focused and again, bought into the bigger picture of a company wide initiative and not just a sales and marketing, a customer experience initiative.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that we've highlighted already is that you're able to achieve a 90 plus NPS score, and I think that's exceptional in the industry. There's a lot of your competitors, I believe, nowhere near that. What was there a kind of a key conversation or a key thought that happened that that sort of made the importance of the customer journey mapping, made the importance of this kind of homework that you've done, that made it clear and sold that as a priority?
One thing that we've really learned that's really come to light is customers gain confidence when they can see, touch, and understand the solution in context. And so we really try to be intentional about building experience centers or experiential selling as a customer experience strategy. So in other words, like we can tell you about all of our offerings until we're blue in the face, but until you come visit our headquarters in Nashville or visit one of our office locations throughout the Southeast, until you see that and touch it and talk through it in real application, that's when it really starts to resonate with our customers. So I think that's what helped us. Those types of conversations and those realizations helped us backtrack of really understanding the customer journey, depending on the client and the prospect. Because we all know that buying technology can really feel overwhelming, and a lot of sales conversations rely on slide decks and specs, and that ultimately creates distance. And we want to break down those barriers. We want to build a physical and experience space where customers can come see the solutions. Ben, for our context, everything that we sell to a client or a prospect, we actually use internally. And so, yes, we have a dedicated VIP tour at headquarters, but again, if you were to visit any of our office locations, we're actually using the things that we sell. So it could be a very high touch, intentional tour, or you just stop by and have a high level conversation and see how we're using the things that we sell, which makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely. I love that phrase that you used, experiential selling. I
Yes.
think that's such a strong concept and seems like a no-brainer to me. I'm the type of person that show it to me. Let me touch it. Let me see it for myself. And you're absolutely right. A lot of the sales of technology and a lot of the onboarding, the initial experiences customers have with technology, it's at a distance. It's a little hard to approach, isn't it?
Yes. And we found that really customers ask better questions when they interact with the technology behind it. That's what really gets them thinking. Because if they were to come in and there was no context and we're just talking at them, that really doesn't benefit anyone. So for them to come in and touch and feel and see it in their application, that's when it really starts to click.
Absolutely.
Real quick, if I may. So that's like the interior VIP route. And then another route of this same kind of theme is our new Tech Connect event. So this is our third year doing that. And again, talking with sales, talking with customer care and customer experience, there's nothing like seeing people in person and having those real life conversations. And so the marketing team created this awesome concept called Tech Connect, which is an event that happens once every single year. So historically, Ben, we were trying to get people to come to multiple events throughout the year, and people were just busy. That's hard to do. And so we took a step back and said, what if we just went bigger one time a year so people can plan for it, they can anticipate it. And so that kernel of an idea turned into this really cool event. And we didn't want it to be just a regular trade show. We wanted to put a fresh spin on it. And I am based in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm a Nashville native. And so some of your audience may or may not realize this, but the first week in the summer, we have something called CMA Fest. And basically, country music fans from all over the world come to Nashville. And so because of that, we wanted to take advantage of that. We knew people were coming to Nashville anyways. So we wanted to do an event sometime during that week to kick off the summer with RJ Young. And so again, 2 years ago, we had our first one. This will be our third event, and it's going to be the biggest yet. The feedback has been incredible. In a nutshell, what it is, we typically rent out an entire Broadway venue. So this year it's at Category 10, which is Luke Combs' bar. And so we rent out the entire thing. Each floor represents a different pillar of business, and we have our partners who are part of that pillar on that floor. So as an attendee, you can just walk around and talk to our partners. You can network with the other people who were there and truly understand the full breadth of what we offer, both from the RJ Young side. And this year, we're launching Velocity One, so you'll get to meet that team and what we offer there. So it's a real authentic way to create connections, but it's not a trade show. We have food, we have drinks, we have entertainment. This past year, Trace Atkins performed live for us, which was a lot of fun. And this year, we have a really cool country act, teaser alert, performing. You'll see that announcement come out soon. But yeah, so every single year, we want people to get excited about learn the latest and greatest from a technology side, talk to our partners, but also talk about innovation and what we're doing as a company to hand select these partners to let you as the client or prospect focus on what you do best. That's our goal, is like we want to be the easy button from the technology and services side, but you do what you do best. And that was the whole genesis of that event.
It sounds like a great event. You've already sold me on it. I'd be happy to come
Nice.
sometime.
Yeah.
But I wanted to challenge you a little bit because I know there's a 70-year business. I'm sure there's some legacy process, there's some legacy kind of culture, and there's value there and there's good things there, but there's also things that are just it's just inertia, right? And you obviously are a big part of leading the charge towards modernizing the business, the new Velocity One initiative, and adding these more futuristic kind of elements. Is there a specific case or example that you could share where you had to overcome this is the way we've always done it?
You took the words right out of my mouth. I think that's a common roadblock, is just because you have that 70 years of experience in service, that's an easy kind of excuse of, okay, stop, we've already done it this way. And so I will say though, RJ Young has been an incredible company to not shoot that down, to not have that stance. They're constantly encouraging all their employees to be innovative. Actually, our theme we kick off the new year in February. And so we had an internal gathering of all of our employees here in Nashville, and that was our theme, Ben, was innovate. And that's what AJ Baggett, who's our president of the company, talked about, is as an employee, regardless of the department that you're in, you've got to have that enterprise level mindset of how am I pushing the company forward? How am I innovating? And that is defined in multiple different ways. That could be defined as efficiencies. That could be defined as a brand new idea and concept like Tech Connect, or a combination of the two. But the point is making that a focus as part of our culture is really important. And I feel like we're not perfect, but I feel like we do a really good job of encouraging employees to be innovative and not fall on that easy excuse of, oh, we've just always done it this way, don't challenge me. We welcome people's ideas and try to work from them.
Sounds like a great place to work.
It is.
I wanted to ask you, also touched on briefly before, about how, from the customer's point of view, of course, their experience is not broken down by the departments inside the business. They have one experience. Do you have a sort of a process or a framework for sharing the journey across departments, or how you collaborate cross-functionally?
I think it's in a lot of different ways. It's the way that we run campaigns. It's when we talk about it when we have meetings. It's our kickoff when we're all gathered together as a company. We mention those types of things. And it's not just talk, Ben, as well as through action. And so one of the things that my team did through that work of the data piece is really listening to the sales teams and be like, what are some of the things that's a challenge for you in the field? And one of the things that they told us was RJ Young, one of its benefits is we offer over 100 products and services, which is great. But that can also be overwhelming, especially for a sales rep out in the field trying to talk to a brand new prospect who has no idea who we are, or a client that may have just one of our offerings and not the rest of what we offer. And so we heard that feedback, we worked with them, and through that data cleanse, it's okay, I hear you, totally get that. So in the place of doing that, how about we come together and from a quarterly perspective, let's pick one of our solutions that's highly profitable for the company, and we'll give you a targeted list that you can reach out to. And your narrative, it goes from, hi, we're RJ Young. Hi, Ben, we're RJ Young. We offer 130 things. What do you want? To, oh, hi, Ben, I know that you've been a client of ours for the past 3 years, and I've reviewed your account, and you're the perfect fit for this conference room technology. And so do you see the difference there? And so the fact that we were able to do that, last year was the first year that we actually did that hands in sales. And we saw such a traumatic difference in how we approached clients and prospects, and it helped them just navigate that. And what's funny is I had a few salespeople come up to me and they're like, "Hey, Cameron, I started that conversation. It was great, but this customer wasn't ready for a conference room. They wanted something else." And I'm like, "Great, that's great. Like, it's no problem that they didn't want the conference room package. The point is that you had a very targeted approach with them, and it turned into something more meaningful." So that's an example of using data and then understanding the customer's journey and how to approach that really makes a difference.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I'm reminded there was a conversation about, this is many years ago, talking about the early days in Facebook, and they had a debate about their advertising and how they're going to customize the advertising for their users. And the quote was that it's either creepy or crappy. And yeah, I think when you have all the background information about the customer, when you have the 3 years of history, when you have that accessible and you can tailor a solution, obviously you want to present that in a human way. You want to present that in a way that shows that you've done your homework, but doesn't feel invasive or cold. But
You
yeah,
know, you're spot on. Like from a marketing perspective, we've got to come along, sell, like sales talking to the client or prospect. That's one channel of about 12 more that marketing is coming alongside them, from account-based marketing to email campaigns to live in-person events. It's like a combination of all of those things. So Ben, you're spot on. If it's just one of those things, it could get too creepy. But if it's that omni-channel approach with sales and marketing aligned, that really provides trust and value for the client or prospect, because everyone's aligned and they know how to bring you things that are going to benefit you, not waste your time on just everything that we offer.
yeah, and I think the better that fit is, the more seamless the transition is. I wanted to ask you, we haven't spoken the magic words yet, which are, of course, AI. How do you think about this evolving landscape and balancing the human touch, the relationships, and also this obvious opportunity to apply AI in business?
Personally, I'm really excited about it just from an efficiency side of things. But to your point, like you're spot on. And I tell my team this all the time. I'm like, the data piece is just half of the story. The other half is real human conversations. And then even a
Mhm.
third piece is the client feedback. And so those three things, the data piece, talking to the human, like not losing that aspect, but also talking to the client, all three of those things is what's going to scale and grow. And so a lot of people are unsure about the future or scared about the future, but I think you should view it as it's a tool to help us get better. It's not something that you should view it to replace you or be scared about it. We're using AI in a variety of places with internally. I mentioned the data lake earlier about consolidating all of our data, customer data into that data lake. There's some AI capabilities in there, quick searching to find information. We use it from a customer experience side of things. So when clients or prospects call, we let them know that the call is being recorded, and we have AI capabilities that can help us really understand the sentiment of the call and some keywords, and to work that into our marketing based on what they said. So there's a lot of things that we really couldn't, it was a very manual process before, but with AI, it's helping us scale and grow. And the attention to detail, that's what I'm most excited about, Ben, is the attention to detail because of those AI technologies are allowing us to increase that.
Yeah, absolutely. It has infinite memory and infinite attention to listen and record. And then you get the fully tailored context, right? You have the full detail is remembered after the call or after the interaction throughout the relationship. Can you talk a little bit about your experience setting up these systems, and were there any pitfalls or surprises along the way?
Yeah, so we wanted to be very intentional about not putting anything that's ultra secretive or unique to us. Approach it lightly, start very small with testing before scaling and growing it. So that is what we've really done, is really just within our own customer data internally, making sure that everything's secure and locked down, because you can get into trouble if you don't do that. So we wanted to make sure that we do that. We also established like an internal AI team, if you will, of just what are some projects that we could work together on and get the different perspectives of the different departments. So it's not just a marketing and customer experience side of things. But Ben, also we're learning, right? This is new really to everyone. These things are changing so very quickly. Even our partners are navigating that as well. I feel like every month I see one of our partners launch some kind of AI capability within what they sell. And so the truth is it's a journey, right? We're learning together with our partners, and watching how quickly things change. But I think it's important to do small scale. I think I'd answer the question, but just by saying small scale tests internally and not do anything that's going to put your business, that's going to compromise your business, but look more at like efficiencies around customer data or again, listening to feedback, that type of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think a lot of the listeners and a lot of the people out there that are considering these things are going to benefit from hearing this, but I totally agree with you. I think that security is first and foremost. You have to have the right systems, the right kind of guardrails in place. You have to do these kind of small tests first and then scale up as it proves its reliability. I think the for your business and for many businesses out there, there's sort of two sides of this, right? There's the internal side of how do we use these AI tools internally, but also the external side of how are customers using AI. I don't know about you, but in my life, a lot of the things I used to go to Google for and do manually, I'm chatting with AI for now, including how do I fix my printer or whatever it is. Could you talk a little bit about how you're thinking about this? I've been using the word shadow support, that is support outside of the official channels. But yeah, what do you think about this?
So one thing that we're doing internally on the sales side is we're constantly getting new sales reps and having to train them. That's an investment of time, but also resources. And so we're using AI to put all of the information from our partners into this tool. And then the managers on the back end are able to put very specific criteria around what they want the sales reps to learn, maybe different environments or sentiments that they might encounter out in the field. And then you can use AI to launch this campaign of a sales rep's talking to an AI agent, if you will, but it seems like a real person. And you're going through different scenarios in the background. It's grading based on what they're talking about, their tone of voice, how they're answering questions. And then it puts that out. So as a sales manager, you're not only training your sales team, you're seeing how they did and helping them support them. Hey, you could do better here. Or when this comes up next time, be sure to talk about this. And so that's how again, it's just a way for us to be more efficient and scale and grow our efforts with AI as opposed to using it on something that may compromise the business. And we've seen a lot of success on that. Our sales managers it's a good way. It's not big brother. Like the sales reps actually appreciate being able to have real life interactions because it really does feel real life, Ben. It's creepy, like how real these avatars are as
Right.
part of this platform.
Gotcha. Yeah, I wanted to wrap up the episode here with a final question and sort of your thoughts on the future, essentially. What things do you see changing? What things do you see maybe going back to the way they were after some mistakes that people might be making in the world today, in the world of business? And what do you see as coming over the horizon?
It's so funny, Ben. Like my team laughs when I say this. With all these AI advancements and all these tools that we have now at our fingertips, I still find myself going back to like direct mail and product catalogs and those types of marketing things that have been around for years and not to say that you shouldn't put a fresh take on them, like you could personalize them. Now there's a lot that you can do around that front, but I think the point is don't get so lost. Yes, AI is super exciting. All these tools are super exciting. But the second that it doesn't feel like a human anymore, like those don't matter. And I'm trying to keep that, as part of my team to be like, we can't forget about the direct mail. We can't forget about product catalogs that people physically have on their desk. So I think the future it's a combination of both. It's like, you've got to be a constant learner. I try to task that to myself as like, I have to constantly keep learning and trying, because through trying, that's where you're going to learn the things, right, that you can take back and apply and continue to optimize over time. So it's a combination of just being a constant learner, but not forgetting about those old marketing tactics that have worked forever. Even email, like how you approach email and nurture campaigns, like you just can't forget about them. And because a lot of people will say, oh, that's dead. No, it's not. And so I think a combination of both those things is really important.
Yeah, that's great. I think the more AI is used to make content, the more the digital kind of space gets crowded, the more valuable it is to, yeah, to have something on your desk, something it's more unique, even if
And
it's old, it's new again.
exactly. And the in-person events, that makes all the difference as well. So you're not completely removed from your client or prospect. You're seeing them, you're having a conversation. That is extremely important, especially in the business to business space.
Absolutely. All right. This has been a really fun conversation, Cameron. I'm going to wrap it up here. This has been Kamron Kunce, everybody. He's on LinkedIn if you want to connect. Thinking about an opportunity at RJ Young, reach out to him. And that's all for this episode of the CX Files. We will see you in the next one.